Howdy Meeps, welcome to the Meeple Syrup Show. Hey Meeps, it's Sen and Erica here. We're having some technical difficulties, so we're trying to get Pam into the feed, and we'll get there as soon as we get there. In the meantime, I'll entertain you with some lovely songs. Or no, I won't do that. Erica and I are trying to get Pam on the feed, so she's having trouble. She's in Google. She's in Chrome. And she is just having difficulty logging into the BeLive app.
She doesn't have a camera option.
She's trying to find where in her setting it says the camera is selected, BeLive is allowed. So she's doing something right. I just don't know what she's doing right or wrong in this case, actually.
Oh, no.
Here, I'm going to give her this link. I'm saying to go to Chrome/settings/content. Check that. In the meantime,
let's talk about ProtoTO.
Yeah, we're going to talk about ProtoTO. And normally we'd have Pam here to talk, but for some reason she can't get on. So we're going to talk about ProtoTO. So Erica and I were there for one day together, and then I was there with Jesse for the rest of the 2 days. Rest of the 3 days total, but Jesse was there for all 3 days. I was there for all 3 days, and sadly, Erica could only make one day. But during that one day, Erica, what did you see that was really, really cool?
You know what the most fun was? And this is kind of, we were going around trying to line people up also on the show, is that we were really trying to look for people who were doing something different. Was your theme different? Was your mechanic different? Was your setup different? Was your some people, there was very few people who brought mass games. So we kind of were like, oh, what made you bring this mass or small game when everyone brought these generally much larger games?
Hey, guess who's here?
Oh, did you get her?
Yeah. I'm going to bring her to the feed.
Yay.
3, 2, 1. Here she comes.
Perfect, because she can tell us all of that.
Hello, sorry.
That's okay. I like this. Look at, I have a small head. Erica has a medium head.
Yeah.
Pam has a giant head. This is awesome.
I know. This is not using my webcam, but whatever. We'll work with it.
Oh, I see.
My webcam is at the bottom of my screen, so I just won't put my hands on.
Okay. Did something weird happen? With your Camerooni?
Yeah, I don't know why it's never been a problem before, but you never know with BeLive.
Maybe it's BeLive.
Yeah.
Oh, you use BeLive too. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Pam uses BeLive because Pam hosts a show called
Board Game Broadcast.
That's right, Board Game Broadcast with Kathleen, and so she's used to this whole, BeLive shenanigans, and apparently today BeLive is not misbehaving. Okay, I've made my head bigger and centered it there.
Nice. And I'm trying to sit down.
Okay. All right. So. Okay, we have Pam here. Yay, Pam. Pam is here. Erica's here. I'm here. Hey, Erica, before we get started, what's going to happen next week?
Oh, I should really have that in front of me, shouldn't I? Why?
No. I don't mean on Meeple Syrup. I mean in your life.
What is happening next week? What's happening to me next week? Am I that oblivious? What's happening?
Yeah, no. I mean, are you going to be affected by the CUPE strike?
Oh my God, you scared me. I was like, what am I not paying attention to?
I don't know. The CUPE strike, apparently.
Well, no, I mean, I am. What really sucks is we're basically being told we have to cross picket lines, but because we're legally obligated to go to work.
Yeah.
But it's our friends that are out there, right? It's the other half of our school that's on the sidewalk.
Right.
So
and you won't have students there though.
That part I don't know. That's up to parents.
Oh, bye, Pam. I don't know what
there we go.
Hey.
That was bugging me, and I fixed it.
Yeah,
I'm listening though. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, we have to show up. We've been encouraged to help protest before and after school, but the main idea is that it's janitors, Alpha Sidman, it's ECEs, that sort of thing. So we can't pick up the slack because then what would be the point of their strike? So
you'd be doing their work.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And that's not a good thing.
Sorry, but let's get back to ProtoTO.
Yeah, good. So now Pam's here. She's got the right camera on. We're ready to go. We're good to go. Brad Batchelor says, hi, all. Hi, Pam. ProtoTO was awesome. And he is not wrong. ProtoTO was excellent this year, as it is in every year, but this was just even better. Pam, tell us about the changes from year 3. Is it this is year 4?
Year 4.
Right,
we had this conversation.
Yeah, we had this whole discussion. Tell us what the differences between year 3 and year 4 have been.
Yeah, so year 3 we were in a hotel, which was, kind of made it feel a bit more official, which was cool. But this one was a bigger hotel, and I actually brought the number of tables for designers down. It was up to 31 per session in the third year. And I just wanted to make sure, and I got some feedback that it was a bit hard to make sure all the tables were full of playtesters, and that's the most important thing. So
in year 3.
In year 3.
Right.
Yeah. So I brought that down in year 4 this past weekend to 26.
Oh, wow.
Down from 31. And I'm actually thinking maybe even bringing it down more next year, just to make sure we really have the ratio of more playtesters than like
that ratio is really
playtesters.
That's really the selling feature, right?
Yeah. How did you go about this year trying to attract playtesters? Because there was a lot more this year than previous years.
Yeah.
So
I think good job. You.
Like you said, this is my goal, and you did it. So we're kind of wondering, like, how did you go about it? Because that's a big part of a ProtoCon is you need people to play.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You feel so bad if people show up and no one plays their game. Part of that does rest on the designer too, to, speak with people and be approachable and make connections, especially during the showcase, showing their game. But I want to do everything that I can to supply them with people as well. So I challenged the designers to reach out to at least 2 people to invite to come as playtesters. And if each person did that, we would have more than enough. And I think most people did, which was awesome. And then I bribed people with more raffle tickets if we got to a certain level of playtesters, which we did. We hit 100 playtesters about a week before, and then we got 100 more in the next 6 days.
Right.
Wow.
So everybody got 4 raffle tickets.
So I have to ask, who did the ProtoTO post? Because I gotta think that was a big part of the 100
extra. Also huge. So I always post ProtoTO to BlogTO, which is like one of the biggest websites in Toronto that shares events coming up in the city. And so I always put it up there. But and I always email them too, like, hey, if you want to feature us, whatever. But I think it just goes with a generic thing. So I think they just went through and someone saw it and they decided to tweet about it. I think they did a Facebook post. And then I think it was featured in Things to Do that weekend. So that was awesome. A huge push from that as well.
Yeah, a little bit of local love never hurts, right?
No, that's how people find you. Like, that's the thing the most impossible thing is advertising yourself, especially when it's like there is no money to advertise yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need those outlets.
Yeah, I also made, a poster, and a few people came from posters. Which is up at Snakes and other board game cafes and things like that. Snakes and like Mikhail from Snakes and Lattes, he posted it to the Snakes social media as well. Michelle from Board Again Games, she's one of our sponsors and main partners, and she posted to her community too. So we have these relationships, and then the Meeple Syrup crews. Everyone is it's a community, and everyone's really helping spread the word.
Right. So I noticed you did a couple things different this year, other than just the reduction of tables. You didn't have people sign up for sessions. Why was that? What's the deal with the change there?
Mainly because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. What I did was I basically made tickets for every single game.
Yeah.
Depending on how many playtesters you wanted, and on the ticket it had the name and the description and all that stuff. I laid all those out. I printed all of those. I cut all of those. It was just ridiculous. I'm sure I could pay someone to do that, but also people that took these tickets but then they didn't show up anyway.
Yeah,
so
it makes people feel real bad.
It just made it a bit more, it just added a level of unnecessary sort of bureaucracy and that people didn't even really use anyway. So I'm like busting my butt trying to get these ticket things done. I still have nightmares about those stupid tickets.
It's funny. So like at Gen Con or Origins, they'll do the tickets as well.
That's exactly where I got the inspiration from, was Avenel, how she runs the double exposure or first exposure playtest hall. I went there at Gen Con in 2016, and I saw that she did something like that. And I was like, oh, that's such a cool idea. So I took inspiration from that. But it's just, whoa, it's just way too much work. But I think the way that she organizes events, I haven't been to Metatopia, but I understand it's very organized, like
it is
organized on a high level.
I haven't been there either. I want to go. It just happens always in the middle of school term. So it's difficult.
Yeah, me too.
Organization is like some people's superpower, and so
I think it's Pam's.
We'll never measure up. Well, I'm not saying it's not Pam's. I'm just saying the level some people can take it to is like
I think
by small teams.
Pam's superpower. It's just Pam is like one person, right? So Pam pretty much does. You pretty much do this kind of by yourself until the day of, right?
Sister Meg is a huge help.
Of course.
And then I'm I'm trying to build up more of a team as well. Like you're the Meeple Syrup crew, you were awesome leading up to it, and then during, having your own table where you help designers work through challenges, like trying to sort of have people have their thing within the ProtoTO was a big help. So because I literally can't do everything myself.
That's right. You have to have people to do that kind of stuff for you.
But I'm also primarily a designer. Like I'm doing this as a means to an end. Like I'm not an event coordinator and then a designer. I'm a designer, and then I organize this event for the purpose of playtesting games.
Right. And so how did that ever come about? Like what made you decide that, I'm going to start running this thing and not sleeping many, many nights in a row to get this thing done? What made you do this?
Well, I went to a prototype convention in Orlando in 2016, Prototype Con, which now I think is called Expedition Con.
Right.
Run by Heather Newton, I think.
Yeah, Heather Newton was involved.
Yeah. And I went to that was my first playtesting convention, and I came back from it to Toronto, and I just assumed that there were events like that already existed, weekend-long playtesting conventions, just because there's such a huge design community here. This is when I was first dipping my toes in the design community in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I came back, and there wasn't really. There was the Snakes monthly meetups and the 401 meetups and, other great events, but there wasn't a weekend-long convention, and I found that so helpful, the one I went to in Orlando. So I was chatting with some other designers about this idea, and Erica was one of those people from the very beginning who was there helping organize and brainstorm, and just decided to I have these skills as an event coordinator from my day job. So I was just like, well, why don't I just do it? And I can be a little impulsive sometimes. So I was just like, yeah, I'll just do it. Not realizing that, I have to do it every single year.
Well, thank you very much for your impulsiveness. I think you made a bunch of people really happy over the last 4 years. Nothing but, positive feedback from people who we've talked to, even just posting online. There were people saying, I came from Utah last year, right? And he was like, I think it's David Gonsalves. He's like, I came from Utah last year just to see it. It was awesome. And I know that people have been from Buffalo. Cassie Friedman was here this year.
There was a lot more Americans. That was really nice to see, is that we always go there, and finally they get to come here.
And you managed to beg. You've been managing to attract some publishers as well from the States, which is big. It's just a big deal, right? So this year, WizKids, Smirk and Laughter was here. Who else?
Spin Master, Outset.
Yeah, Spin Master, Outset. So, a decent compliment. The year before, Renegade was here, right? So it's a lot of people
Pandasaurus.
Pandasaurus with John.
Pandasaurus.
recognize that there is a burgeoning design community in Toronto and surrounding areas that, has something to offer. Like, and Kids Table Board Game and Burnt Island, of course. So last year, there were at least 2 games, I think, that were signed from being shown at ProtoTO. That was Shobu and Spill. Both
and
of which
King of Indecision by Joe Slack.
That was signed from there last year. Okay, cool. So that'd be Analog Game Studios or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
And they showed On Point this year. Speaking of interesting themes, that was the ballet theme
we
game,
talked
right?
that one. We talked to them about coming on for that because the designer, it's a female designer. She couldn't be there, but the representative was there. And it's nice to see, we were talking about unique themes and finally themes that were once upon a time they might have been considered for one type of person. Now you can say it's like more confidently, no, this is for everybody. It's just a game. It just happens to have a dancing theme. Like we kind of have to just start treating things like that.
That's a game.
It's a game, guys. It doesn't matter what it's about.
And so this year I'm not sure. If anybody.
We'll find out.
We'll find out someday soon, right?
I know some rumblings of some
interest.
I'm not going to say what or who, but I know some couple things.
That's great. I know that, Kurt played one of our games that is literally 18 cards big, and he's like, "Oh, this is interesting. Let me think about this." So who knows? Who knows?
Hey,
it may turn out to be something at some point in time. But yeah, we still got to play some of our games. We got to play other people's games, and we got to see a lot of cool games. I know Brad's listening right now. Brad, your game was super neat. Did you get to see Brad's game at all? The one with the is Pirate Queen.
The cannons with the cards in them?
The card cannon. That was so cool.
See, I only got to be there one day, but I really did look at everything as fast as I possibly could. Which you know what? Let's talk about that, because talking about a lot of the positives about what was both different this year and what worked really well. Let's really talk about what was this designer showcase. So we'll start with Pam, like where the idea came from, and then let's talk about why it was so important, because I don't think a lot of things do this.
Yeah, so on the Friday night, we have the games showcase. So that's where all the designers set up their prototypes and everyone can walk around, get an overview of all the games that will be presented that weekend. And that's where playtesters can see the games they might want to play, and publishers can walk around and quickly get an overview of all the games, because it's tough to try to see every single game throughout the weekend. It's also a bit of a celebration of, just having all these games on display and just really seeing in one shot all these great games that the designers have brought. So that's really fun. The publishers have get really good feedback from them that they really enjoy that. If they can't make the whole weekend, come for that one night and see the majority of the games and meet the designers. And then other designers, it's nice, you can't see the games that are in your own showcase, but there's 2 of them, so you can see the other half. Because that's really a big part of it, is testing your own games, but also testing other designers' games, getting inspiration from what they're working on.
Yeah, I think that showcase really both, what it did? It did 2 very good things, besides allowing people to walk around and really kind of window shop all the games out there. What I kept having to hear again and again is people essentially giving their elevator pitch. And so you kind of had to do it on the spot over and over and over again. And you could kind of tell who's done it before, who hasn't. But what a great way to practice that is to kind of constantly be like, no, come to me. Like, I'll tell you all about it. But as fast as possible and as precise as possible. Yeah, so it almost should be a warning for people next year when you go to do your showcase. Prepare your 3 lines, whatever it is. Just know what it's going to be. And you will be amazed probably even how you'll feel about pitching it.
Yeah, what's the hook? And you get to refine it live, and that's awesome, actually. Yeah. It's really, really good practice. Brad Batchelor is saying... Too. Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying that happened to me too, because I was playtesting a game that I hadn't really playtested a lot before, so I didn't have a lot of practice explaining it. So,
the ones with the elements.
No, the Musketeers game.
Oh, right, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot going on. So it was actually
nice.
It was really nice to just explain it over and over and over very quickly. You start yeah, you definitely get that elevator pitch down, which is
you narrow it quick down to what matters.
That's more important. Okay, now they look bored. Oh God, it's been 10 minutes. Cut it down.
No, it's a great trial run. Like, it's funny. This is a lot of stuff that we used to do when I was in school for advertising, is like kind of like almost beat out the shyness from you, because you just have to be like, go, go. And once you learn how to do that, you'll never necessarily be comfortable. I'll be fully honest, but you stop thinking about it and you start to kind of you start to refine very quickly what you want to say. And it's great practice for a lot of people.
Yeah. Brad Batchelor is saying, the showcase. Where'd that go? There we go.
Oh, he says
the showcase really sets it apart from other cons, and I think so too. I think the showcase is like a parade, right? And it's really a nice way of setting the stage for these are all the things that are possible this weekend, right? It's gonna start awesome and get even better as it goes along. So I'm really happy to see that.
It's like window shopping in that the best part is guaranteed you're going to find games that are going to suit you. And that's another thing that was really great too, is having that display. You don't want the wrong playtester. That's absolutely as important as getting the right one. And sometimes I think people just are like, no, I just need playtesters. You're like, no, you don't, because you're going to get not the advice that you intend to have, or maybe you should even listen to. And so the nice thing about the window shopping is you're probably much more likely to get someone who is legitimately interested in your game in the first place. So there was already some level of invested interest to care about giving you feedback.
Exactly. Then they're excited to come back on Saturday, Sunday, and test it during your session.
So Zach actually has a question about that. Zach Connolly, one of our fearless moderators, asks us, is there a con that assigns table times based on a merit system? You must test and give feedback to X number of games to get your title on the list, etc., etc. Has that ever been something you've thought about?
I wonder how you score that, or how long you'd have to. How are you tracking that in advance of the table?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that in reference to designers testing other designers' games or play testers?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, it's like a pre-event where you have to
it's a lottery system.
Just the designers have to play the other designers.
Well, I mean, that is a thing that the designer, like, sometimes the designers feel left out because they don't get to play test anybody's game. They're always playing their own game.
Yeah, I love playtesting other people's games.
I do too. Yeah. Zach also asked another question. He asked, do you think running these test conventions are more viable in larger cities for traffic or smaller ones for cost? Well, let me tell you, Toronto is not a small city. Zach, you've never been here. I don't know. It's not a small city at all.
I will say, if you think about where a lot of the prototyping cons are, a lot of them really are small towns. And I wonder maybe if that's accessibility, maybe it's a midpoint thing, maybe it's a cost thing. I got to think it's actually easier to get attention in a small town. Like, it is hard to get attention in Toronto. Like, having something like ProtoTO, even though it's all like online, that makes all the difference in the world, because you're talking about like how many voices at the same time, how much stimulus and messages at the same time in a big city where you're just drowned out. But if you're kind of the main event of a smaller town, much more people are going to show up.
Yeah. The other thing to think about with a big city is transportation, that there is a transit system.
There's a lot of transit systems,
that there is like Lyft and Uber, that there is an airplane and a train that comes in. So there are some benefits.
And I live here, so you could stay at my house.
I like that. I do enjoy that. That's a plus one for me.
That is an open invite to all the viewers.
Well, to you too. You too. We'll see about everybody else.
Right. Zach's like, I know Toronto isn't small. Of course you do, Zach. Of course.
So tiny. So many millions tiny.
It definitely is, expensive running this type of thing in Toronto, So just, unfortunately, designers, like, the tickets are just, more expensive than I would like them to be for something like this. But you just have to cover your costs for a venue in one of the biggest city in the country.
Yeah, Helena said that there were many people that found out about it from ProtoTO. So I mean, that was like a feather in your cap, really, right?
That was so awesome. My friend texted me like, "Oh, it's on ProtoTO." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool."
They got it a little wrong in the title.
I know.
Like this is the first time ever, but
whatever.
You'll take the good, you take the bad, right?
I know. Yeah. I think that was just their standard sort of template of Toronto is getting a blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Zach had one more point. It's a little big, so I won't put it on the screen. But he said he always brings ringers to play test convention, so other people, someone who will sit at the table and play the game with him, because a game that's being played stands more chance of catching the eye of other people. And once you have their attention, you reel them in.
That's a really great idea, and that's one of the reasons why.
That sounds weird. He's not con man. He's a good salesman at cons for his own games.
Con salesman.
I don't know.
Con salesman. That could go so many different ways if I interpret that.
Sorry, Zach. I didn't mean to call you a criminal. You are not a crook. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. Helena is actually online right now, and she's one of the publishers with Kids Table Board Games and with also Burnt Island Games. And I don't know if she found anything that she really liked at ProtoTO this year, but Helena, she signed one from last year, right? She signed Fossilis.
Very cool.
Which they were showing here.
Right?
Yeah.
It's in like its final form.
Cool. And it's Kickstarter ready for it, because that's coming really soon.
1 year ago, they signed it. Now it's coming up on Kickstarter. And they're showing like a prototype of it at the same convention that they signed it at 12 months ago. That is wild. Oh, Helena is saying they found stuff that they might have liked. That's really cool. Oh, Helena, if you do get a chance, reach out to Michael Murray from Barry. He made the game Budding Botanists, and it looks like something you might enjoy. It's a hidden. It's a hidden worker placement game, a simultaneous worker placement game about planting flowers.
Two different flower games, I want to say, if I remember correctly.
There's a game about grannies that I didn't get to play.
I saw one that I was excited because someone made tiny little paper cranes and it was part of the game.
That was Tomas, who is the designer of the Crypto. He did that origami crane game.
The level thing, I was like, I don't know why, but I love it.
It's very neat.
I didn't even touch it. I was like, I love it.
Do you make the birds as part of the game?
No, they're part of it.
Oh,
they're like plasticky. I don't know where you got them from, but you have to create these little levels, and you like put the bird is going up on top of it. They're more like player markers, but I was like, but they're pretty, and I don't know. They're just so pretty.
Yeah, they were pretty. There are a lot of really cool games there. I really can't say enough about the diversity of not only the games, but the designers that showed up to this wonderful, wonderful event. So if you are a person of color, if you are a person who does not identify on the gender spectrum as binary, if you are any of those people, or if you're a woman designer in a male-dominated industry, ProtoTO welcomes you.
It was a pretty good mix, and a lot of interesting partnerings. Like that was kind of interesting to see too. The different tables, like who was working alone, who's working as a partner. It's interesting to see the level of polish that was put on different games. You're like, wow, this is like, what, are you going to Kickstarter tomorrow? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
some of them were. Some of them totally were. There was one guy with the game Lander. He wasn't even the designer. He was the producer of the game. And he was working with his friends who are over in England, who are the designers of the game, to bring it to Kickstarter in several months. And it was like, this is like a, super well-made prototype, like with plastic bits and things that interlocked and whatnot. So yeah, lots of really various level of things. And it was really neat to see, actually. So, Catherine Stipple, who is the designer of Nyctophobia, her prototype was graph paper and see-through cards and
But it was a great concept, like the spatial awareness of that game. But yeah, it was nice. It was funny to see like one person over literally had foreign plastic, and then you'd have people with like acetate and graph paper. Like, yes, this is prototyping.
Yeah, and I think that to me is a wonderful, it just shows the range that you have to go from, and that you'll get to eventually if everything goes well with your, bringing your game out to multiple prototype conventions until you're ready to ship it, right? So I think there's some really good stuff out there. Hi, Mandy Jelsma. Oh, I'll say hi to everybody. Hi, Helena Capel. Hi, Zach Connolly.
Hi, everybody who joined us.
Who else is there? There's hi, Brad Batchelor.
Hi.
And hi, Ming. And there is hi, Jesse.
Hi, 12 people who are apparently watching.
Yeah, not Jesse Right. He's a little tired after his move. So Jesse is back in Canada for good, for reals. And he and his partner Helena are in Kitchener-Waterloo now. So they've moved. They packed up their Mazda and drove it from Barrie, where everything was at their parents', back to Kitchener-Waterloo after taking like a 4 or 5 day trek across the states to get back. So they're here and they're raring to go back in the design world from the Canadian side of the border, which is great.
Yay, Jesse's in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't realize that he had moved back. I chatted with him at the convention. It's like, oh, so awesome.
Just finished school.
Yeah. Oh, Travis Magram's here. Hello, Travis.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah. So, not only did you, I think you basically have created a little community, Pam. It's not just a convention. There are people who are like hardcore ProtoTOers, whether or not they're actually Protators. Whether or not they're actually from Toronto, I don't think that matters. I think there are people who really like the culture and the community that you've built around it, and I think it's different, right? So I've been to many prototype conventions, like the one in Atlanta. I've been to Ann Arbor. I've been to wherever Unpubs, and all of them have this kind of different vibe to them. They're all very different, and I think ProtoTO has its own vibe, and I really do think that the showcase is one of those key elements that sets it apart. And then you usually have a keynote, which is definitely different than a lot of the other ones that just don't do that. And I appreciate that, not because I just think it's wonderful to have somebody talk about something for just like an hour, and just kind of open your mind. And this is something that I've heard, and I know I hear it at every convention that I go to, but it's really important that you hear that I heard this, Pam. Is people were saying, I'm so reinvigorated by this convention. I'm so back into design. I didn't know where it was going. I'm ready to make changes. This was a great weekend. And these are people who had their games ripped apart, right? People tell them, oh, this is not good, and change this and change this. And these are people who are saying, I feel so invigorated by this, right? So it's wonderful.
Hey. I think what's a nice accompanying this too is that you have ProtoTO has the group as well. So when people, you have people who can continue the conversation, continue the experience online. I think that really helps kind of create that, because you had a lot of lead up, people joining, and then after the fact, people joining, and then the conversation keeps going. So I think that really does help, because a lot of other conventions, they might just have like a Facebook page that people interact on. It's quite different when it's a group.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we want to be part of that. So there's definitely people who have joined Meeple Syrup after we did the live casts for them. And it's super cool to do that. I think some people have really kind of almost felt legitimized by it, which is great. A lot of people have talked to me just privately on Messenger after the show and said, that was like great, and my mother got to watch the video, and now she's asking me questions about it. Or one of them, so Grace Lee, who is a RPN, she's a registered practical nurse, has this game called Care, CARE, which is about being a nurse, and a lot of people thought it was really interesting, which is great to hear. It's sort of in that simulation end of things, but still a game. And she told me today that she was showing our video to her coworkers, who are like just amazed that she could do this, because they know she holds down 2 nursing jobs. And she talked to one of the patients she cares for about it, and the patient was all like, I hope you do well, dearie. And that's super wonderful. I think it's just great that people have like something to point to say, I am legit. I did this thing. That's more than like the paper and cardboard in their little box or baggie, right? That they can show something for it. And so I think Erica and Jesse and I are really happy to have been a part of that process for them, which is great. Let's see. Oh, one second.
There's been a few questions on we can go Zach's and Adams.
Zach. Okay.
Or
Zach
Adam and Zach.
Well, I'll do them in order, because I'll forget Zach if I do.
The con
Sorry,
man
Zach.
first.
Yeah, the con man. Oh, which is Connolly, right? Get it? Zach said, I rarely see folks testing from a rule book at these types of shows. It's often play by tutorial, so the designer will teach the person. What do you think can be done to incentivize the playing from a rule book? So it's almost like a blind test, right? Because it's a very crucial type of testing.
A lot of people should be doing this. I feel like it's probably one of the least comfortable things to do for people, so they avoid it. I think that's a big part of it. Handing over your game and a rule book and saying, infer yourself. I think it scares a lot of people.
Yeah. I also think that it might be a con may not be the right place to do it either. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That one-on-one-ness kind of, I mean, it's pretty valuable.
Yeah, like you're there and there's people there, you might as well talk to them. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what, too? Well, I'll say too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. That was actually some feedback I got from, so we had judges this year going around trying to see all the games and putting together their list of their highlights.
Okay.
And that was just a bit of feedback that, you know, it's important to just be able to quickly explain the game and not be expected to sit down and read, you know, a 4-page rule book or a 2-page rule book.
What were the judges doing, Pam? I don't remember judges. Like, what were they judging?
So Mandy Hutchinson, Carol Tan, and Nicole Roy were our panel of judges. Unfortunately, Nicole got sick. And so Demetrios Alexis stepped in for her, which was awesome. And so they were going around checking out all of the games. This is something new we tried this year as well. Because I always send out a survey after, and you know, all the changes I make, I take into account all of the feedback. And I think this was someone's idea about having some sort of award or something like that. Pardon?
From last year that you implemented?
Last year. Yeah, last year. So I thought about that and I'm like, oh, that might be cool. Instead of an award, but just have like a panel talk about their highlights from the convention.
Oh, right. So, and that's what the show was.
On Saturday night.
Oh, I see. I get it now.
Yeah. So they shared their top 5 games that they played or that they got to see.
Nice.
During ProtoTO.
Cool. And what were they? Because I didn't make it to that show. I was busy, I think, recording somebody or something. So,
Arissa Roy Dupuis, she had a cool game that was very sensory, very tactile.
Oh yes, she had all the formed pieces where you were doing it. Yeah, from touch.
Yeah, she's very interested in working with people with differential disabilities. So this was one of her projects for that. Yeah. And which other ones?
Yeah. Peter Hayward, Werewolves of Wall Street.
Okay, I didn't see that by Peter.
He just brought that back out too. That game's been on the shelf for a little while, so this is like its resurgence.
Yeah, they really liked that one. They really liked is it Fossilis or Fossilis? I never
see. Well, I say Fossilis, and then Josh punches me, so it's not.
I thought it was Fossilis.
It is Fossilis.
Was obviously on the list because that one is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the Yuval, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, Mummy Escape.
Yeah, that Mummy Escape game.
Yuval Greenspan.
But now he says that there's no mummy anymore.
Yeah.
I do remember this one.
This was great. And I did want to talk about this because the game is really cool. I think it's a game that could be mass market. But what I really liked about it is that he was making changes like during the con. Yeah, that's it was awesome to see. And I think more people need to be willing to let go. And that for him was the biggest darling. Because it's a game that he designed with his kids, and his kids wanted it to be a mummy chasing people, and so he's like, I can't cut out the mummy. What's the thing my kids want? And then eventually it's like, yeah, I guess I got to cut this mummy out. I don't know what I'm going to tell the kids.
No, you know what it is? The mummy is meant for a different game. The mummy is meant for a different game. You just got to put it somewhere else.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I could totally see how the mummy would work in this game, but I could also see how the mummy would make this game just like that's an extra layer of. You don't need it, right? Because the idea behind that game is it's kind of neat. It's like this push your luck, but you're not pressured by a timer. You're pressured by the other players. So it's sort of like Jetpack Joyride by Lucky Duck in that way, that there's no real timer. There doesn't have to be until the very end. There's a timer at the end, but there's no timer during the vast majority of the game because everybody else is putting pressure on you. It's sort of like a dexterity version of Clank in that way. That in Clank, until somebody gets out, you can run around and do whatever you want.
The clock doesn't start till
And so this is kind of the same. That once somebody gets out, they have to have more successful stunts done, like more tricks done than anybody else, and it's dexterity building of things, right? Before the other person gets out, but the other person is now under pressure, and every time you successfully do something, you get like handcuffed. He actually has handcuffs.
Yeah, that was
you have
fun.
to do things like you only can use your thumbs.
The props are interesting.
Yeah. So it's an interesting game. I'm really looking forward to seeing where he goes with that one.
Actually, that's one thing we did.
Oh, hey, he's on
about.
right now. There he is.
Yeah, he said thank you. One thing that we did kind of talk about after going through on the showcase on Friday was it was really interesting to see what people were putting into games and whether it was realistic or not component-wise. And it's that kind of just triggered remembering like all the little bits and pieces on the side of the table going like, that's a lot of side game. But there were quite a number of people. You're like, I don't know if you thought about how much this game would cost, but it's good to see it.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people.
Totally. So just to let you know what's going on in the side chat here, Helena Capel said, hearing the media, she loved it so much because it was really great to hear media people talking about A, ProtoTO, and B, like new designs that nobody else was talking about, but maybe someday they will be. And she said that it was helpful for her to hear it, to keep her eyes open for other games that she actually just hadn't seen. Like she'll hear it in the media report on the Saturday night and go, oh, what's that game? I hadn't seen it. Maybe I should seriously take a look. So as a publisher, she's like, that's helpful to her. Great.
And we kind of talked about that after the fact, is that in a lot of ways we might be able
She's
to
also mocking us 1 second.
No, she was trying to teach you how to pronounce it. That was
I know.
But we actually did talk about the benefit of all of these the videos is that not only did as we talked about, people can share them. This could be like, by the way, your pitch video. Do you know what I mean? Like if you could hear it well enough. But the nice thing is that we could kind of even start to curate things into types, where if you are a publisher, you could be like, oh, well, here's a thing full of dexterity games, full of these games with the contact information. There's a potential to keep this rolling. It's just something we kind of talked about on the side.
Yeah, that we could curate videos, curate Excel sheets, and like send out this is a ProtoTO stuff from ProtoTO package that would be electronic. Publishers. That publishers that couldn't make it could say, oh, I want to go next year because there's some awesome stuff in there.
Adam still has a question.
Yeah.
It's a good one for Pam.
Adam Young from Sarnia, Ontario says, hi, any advice for those of us in small towns like Sarnia without regular playtesting groups who want to get the most out of ProtoTO or visiting other regular meetups? So do you have any advice for people from the smaller towns who are coming, maybe to the big city for the first time? Not, obviously, I'm sure Adam has been to Toronto, but I'm just saying, for a prototype convention. Any advice, Pam?
So I would definitely say that it'd be great to start something in your own space as well. I'm sure there are other designers near you or people with just little ideas that are starting to bud that are looking for a group like that. So I would definitely recommend trying to create something in your own community, and then also coming to ProtoTO. And one thing I would definitely recommend is taking part of the mentorship program. So that's been a big success. That might be something, I don't know. To be honest, I haven't gone to a lot of other prototyping conventions. I don't really know how protospiels or unpubs. I know in general how they work, but I haven't gone. I should just for my own, check the competition.
So one in Ann Arbor that's really close, Pam. That's not too far from you either. It's like
there's one in Chicago too that I've been wanting to go to. I know the organizer, and so I want to chat with her about how she runs things, and just we talk about, like, me and some other con organizers talk about how we should have a con for con organizers.
Well, it's like an industry night.
It's called a vacation.
So my brother-in-law works in the service industry, so he owns a restaurant, and he actually runs the New Year's Eve party for all like bar and restaurant and club staff in Kingston because they don't get New Year's Eve. So he does it like on January the 2nd. Right. So they have an industry night. So there should be an industry con. Basically, for me, that's like a breakout con is sort of like that. No, well, actually, base camp is more like that.
I was gonna say base camp is more like that.
So the mentor thing. That's actually where I know Jamie and Manolis, the designers of Shobu Seesaw Games. That's where I know them from. I was their mentor in no, but not at ProtoTO. I was their mentor at Breakout. So Breakout does
right. That mentor night we've done a couple times now. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah, but it's done differently, right? So at Breakout,
it's a 3-hour session.
You have like a 3-hour session to play their game and then give them feedback. So it's industry people, publishers or designers.
It's free development. That's what it is. Yeah. But it's fun.
It's fun. And we play their game for like the hour or 2 hours, and then we have like an hour for feedback. It's a great way for people to get to know other people. You can sign up for that track. You'll get to know industry people. You get to like meet people who you've only just talked to on the internet. And it's a wonderful way to do that. So Breakout Con is Toronto's biggest board gaming convention and role-playing gaming convention. It's the end of March, well, mid-March usually. So it's end of March break. That's a better way to say that. In Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So that is another good one that has a lot to offer in terms of prototyping stuff. That's not necessarily just a prototype con. Not saying that just a prototype con is a bad thing because they're awesome.
No, it's different. It's the number of people. Like the number of people Pam has, this type of system would not be realistic because that would be the whole weekend.
Yeah. Right. So really, it's like where were we, Erica? We were in like a room that was maybe as big as the small room that we were in for Meeple Syrup this time at Pam's convention, and it was like packed. There was like
because there'd be one designer, and then like you'd have everybody at the table was either a publisher or published designer or something like that, and they're all playing, just focusing on you and your game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And there's a lot of other stuff there. Yeah,
it's fun. It's cool that like Breakout. So Breakout is our partner, so we support each other. And it's really nice because we're pretty much exactly 6 months apart. Mm-hmm. So it's nice that in Toronto we have sort of ProtoTO is kind of like the big one. And then you have, a bunch of little things in between. But then you have that other sort of big deadline of, there's also Breakout. And it's great that they have their mentorship program and other awesome things. They give us playtesting space. They're a really great organization to work with.
Daryl says that Breakout Con mentor program is evolving. Kate Bullock and he are improving it for next year. Great to hear. Yuval was saying that Earl Aspiras was a great mentor for him this year at ProtoTO. Nice. And Adam is saying that he's going to try to make it to Breakout this time, just in time for his birthday. So that's wonderful. A lot of people are looking like they're going to become active in the Ontario community, and that's wonderful to hear. We love to support our homegrown talent. And we want to see you guys just grow and prosper in whatever your endeavors are inside this industry of ours, right? So please come.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's funny. We don't have...
I was just double checking. We don't have any more questions. We have people commenting.
No, comments right now. Yeah, that's what I was reading. Brad Batchelor is saying that the mentor program, buddy program, isn't something he's seen at Protospiels in the States. It's super nice. I think it's because we're Canadians.
I know. I'm just so worried. I want everyone to have a good time. I just want to make sure everyone has a friend.
I think it's awesome, Pam, because it's hard.
It creates that inclusivity, right? Like we keep talking about it. How do you do it? It is very different when someone is actively like pulling you in.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, and just have at least one person
Oh, my sister-in-law is online right now.
That's hilarious.
Just in case my mom or dad are watching. Hi, Mom and Dad. I don't know if you're watching, but hi if you are.
Yeah. Hey, Kate's on. Hi, Kate. Kate is one of the
Kate.
Yeah, she's the amazing Kate Bullock. She really helps us coordinate all that we do at Breakout as guests and designers and stuff like that. So Kate's
awesome. You're such a multitasker. I don't know how you can host a show and read the comments and bring up that thing at the bottom. Like I don't do that at
mistakes all the time.
Broadcast. Like,
I I do have multiple screens up.
You have to. That's how
so
I do.
That's a skill.
If I'm looking at you guys, see, I'm looking at you. I'm actually not. I'm looking at my other screen.
No, you are. Wait, you were looking at the screen a moment ago. I can tell the difference.
Well, you've seen it many times.
Well, I was going to say, we're getting close to the end, which is always when we like to have the big advice. And I have to I have to remind myself to say that Katanathon, because I'm going to give a plug right now because I saw Mandy was on a moment ago. Katanathon is 2 weeks or just under 2 weeks. Please check out the website. Please check out the Facebook page. It is a great way of raising money for cancer. Basically, we'll be playing. So I'll be on the Friday night during the kickoff. There's a lot of people who will be on. Yeah. And it's going to be just as long as the money comes in, we don't stop playing Catan. But you can also donate money to make us do horrible, horrible things, either to each other or to ourselves. Like
place your terrain on the 12, because that'd be silly. Don't do that.
It's like people can pay that there's words you're not allowed to say. People can name the robbers. You have to say it every time. People can make you eat donuts, and some of them are filled with awful things. There are games that you can play in between. So if you sponsor big, you can make us play a game in between the game, like Giant Jenga or Boom Pop or
phone. That's what I want to see.
Daryl's gonna be on too.
I know. I always get asked to go, and I can never make it because it's just bad timing. But this year, because we have a reading week, we have a whole reading week. I'm actually free that Friday, so who knows? It depends. Well, I think my wife might be at a conference herself. So if she's at a conference, I can't leave the kids here and be in a city 2 hours away. Anyway.
October 11th, Katanathon. Now, Pam, what is your advice for people who are thinking of setting up a con or such? Because I think that's where you probably definitely have some expertise.
Sorry, you have to see this.
Oh, I knew this was coming. Somebody's going to do this.
I did too. I thought they Chung will be there. And then
that's the robber's name. That's funny.
You have to name the robber. Sorry, it's the full name is Christopher Chung thinks Sagrada is more beautiful than lanterns. And every time the robber moves, you must say Christopher Chung thinks the Sagrada is more beautiful than lanterns. 2 years in a row.
Yeah, there you go.
Can we come up with our own things or
yes, anything you want?
Okay, cool. I'm gonna tune in at 4 a.m. and I'm the only
playing.
You can go and play. So, Pam, what's your one piece of advice to designers, new or experienced, maybe in relation to prototyping conventions? What do you think?
To running their own or attending them?
Sure, or attending, or both, or finding.
I think I'll do attending instead, just because we kind of talked about organizing it. But the biggest thing about attending is to be open to feedback and to not be defensive. And to take it all in. I know it's hard, and there were a lot of first timers there this year, and it's so great to see. And it's required viewing to watch Sen's talk from a couple years ago. We were talking about playtesting and how to get the most out of a playtesting session. And I highly recommend everyone watch that video, the ProtoTO YouTube channel. Watch the Sen's video as well as Erica's about generating creativity, which is awesome. And
share them on the page again or something like that.
Yeah,
we'll bring them back up.
Yeah, because those two talks are amazing. Like how to generate ideas and then how to playtest those ideas and how to get the most out of them.
Mm-hmm. And then it
can be scary.
Yeah, then you can listen to Scott's talk on how to get it signed to a publisher or whatever, right?
There you go.
There's your trifecta.
There you go. And then all the media talking about what they want. So there's kind of the whole, and that's going to be going up soon. So my sister, I think she uploaded the videos tonight, so just have to trim them a little bit and just a little bit of editing, and should have those up. These most recent ProtoTO videos up on the ProtoTO YouTube channel pretty soon.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So on that note, we're just going to sign out with reminders that we are part of the Roll to Play podcast network. So go to rolltoplay.net. I think I can't remember. Oh, wow, that's bad. But go find them on the internet. You can do a Google search. And they have all sorts of cool podcasts with a lot of actual plays of different role-playing systems, which is great.
A lot of role-playing stuff.
Yeah, and we love them to death, even though we might not remember their URL. So go there, check them out. Please do check out our Patreon if you're looking for extended content, things that you can't find here on the Meeple Syrup pages, not even in the podcast that we do. We have extra stuff, and you should go check it out. One thing that we haven't done in a while is we haven't made a new infographic. So
I was gonna say we gotta play.
We gotta plan the next infographic, and we might actually let you vote on what it is if you head over to Patreon. And we've got a couple new people on Patreon.
If you're a patron, you now have the chance to be part of those community episodes where we're going to be having people on the show.
Oh yeah, and that's our next week's episode. Thank you very much.
Cool.
So Jesse is planning the community episode for next week. It'll be our very first one. So who knows? It might blow up in our face. But if you're a community member, by being a member of our Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/meeplesyrup, you can get on the air with us, and that's super cool, right, Pam?
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I like this. Is cool. This is fun. So yeah, please do sign up if you can. Support us at any level. It's as low as $1, and that still gets you access. Excuse me, to not my coughs, but to a whole bunch of panels that we record over the summer when we're on hiatus. So I think I've still got 7 or 8 hours worth of audio and even some video from Fan Expo. So
they're coming. They're coming.
Yeah, lots of wonderful stuff.
Thank you to the 21 of you that we've now gotten since we started our Patreon. It's awesome. And we have to post pictures of the banner because the banner is part of what we've been doing towards, what we've been doing with some of our Patreon money. And we had a very beautiful, lovely banner so people can actually tell where we were at Meeple.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to pay you back for that. Remind me, because I have all the Patreon money.
There you go.
So back for that.
Sends our bookkeeper.
Not a very good one, apparently. So thank you so much to our patrons. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do some of the cool things that we do. And if you like that, like if you liked the fact that, hey, I got to be on a video at ProtoTO and, show my game to the world and talk with, published designers about my stuff and ask them questions, consider that maybe worth $1 a month to you for a little while. It's less than a latte. So anyways, it's definitely less than a latte. And if you don't drink lattes, it's less than.
You can't get anything for $1. Even Dollarama is more than $1.
Right?
That's true.
That's what we have to deal with inflation.
We're degrading, guys. We're degrading. What do we say? We're down on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry about the clapping. Oh, Adam Young asked, are all the aforementioned videos on the ProtoTO channel? And the answer is yes. So if you go to YouTube and search ProtoTO, is it just ProtoTO, Pam?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, search for that, and you'll find a bunch of videos over the last 4 years. So Scott Nicholson, Scott Gata, myself, Erica,
and
a bunch of other people.
We share this back to the
Jonathan Gilmour gave an awesome talk this year as well. So there's that panel we talked about, but Jonathan Gilmour gave a great talk about so many different things, mainly about his playtesting and prototyping process. And it was so awesome. So I'm really excited.
Will that be up soon, or is it already up?
Yeah. It's going to be, I might be able to do it tonight or tomorrow for sure.
Cool. Hey, Kent Blue is on. Kent is one of the hosts of the Roll to Play podcast network. He probably knows what the URL is.
Yeah, is it .com or .net?
I don't know.
He posts all that stuff, so I'm sure he absolutely knows.
I'm sure he absolutely does. Ming is saying that this entire episode was a big ad for living in Canada. You know what, Ming? You should. So, Ming, you are not a resident. Well, you're a resident, but you're not nationalized in the U.S., so come on up. We'll take you. We like people.
Very nice.
We like all sorts of people. All right, cool.
Pam,
so next week,
where can we find you? Hang on.
Yeah.
Where can we find you before I forget this?
Yeah, I'm at Party Hat Games. That's my design company on Twitter and Facebook and website. And then also ProtoTO, Facebook, Twitter, website.
All right.
Awesome. Then, and Erica, you are at Frenemy Games.
I'm at Frenemy Games on Twitter.
And I am at Senfeng Lim, and you can find both of us and Jesse, who is at TT Void, by the way, on Twitter. Bug him, because he needs to start using that more. You can find Erica, myself, and Jesse most often at the Meeple Syrup page or on Meeple Syrup Shop Talk, which is our group, which we are quite active on. So do check us out there.
We just hit over 600 people on that.
Yeah. And you know what? It was the 6 new people were all people from ProtoTO. So yeah, it's been a really good relationship, I think, all around for everybody involved. I think, it's that kind of thing, like all the rising tide raises all boats, or whatever they say.
Absolutely.
I truly believe that together we're better, and that with these types of partnerships between ProtoTO and Meeple Syrup and Fan Expo and Breakout and Board Game Games and 401 Games and Mandy and Carol and everybody coming from that end of the thing. So To Die For and all of that. I think we are all together better when we are doing things with each other, because we can't do everything, right? There's no way Pam can live stream and playtest and organize and tell her sister what to do.
No,
right?
Maybe if I can multitask as well as you can.
Did you know there's no such thing as multitasking? I can go into the psychology of multitasking later, but there's no such thing.
Technically, you're just degrading on everything that you're doing. A little more.
Okay. Yeah.
People love to say it's a thing. It's really just lacking focus on everything else you're doing.
Kind of.
Aha.
Yep.
There you go.
And all right. So with that note, we'll say goodbye to you, and we'll be back next week with Jesse running the first community episode. So for the Patreon supporters, please be looking out for your emails. You'll be getting something in the mail, hopefully soon, telling you what it's all about and how to get on that. Okay, cool. We'll see you all later. Good night. Thanks so much for listening to the Meeple Syrup Show. If you'd like to support us on all of our projects, please check out our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/MeepleSyrup. Hope to see you next week.